And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting and thrilling episode of the Ad Files. I'm joined once again by my co-host, none other than Daniel of Arius and the Nation.
What is going on, man? Love being here. This is like the best time, honestly. Just I can't wait to hear what we got to talk about today. My mind is
Can't wait
fried.
to hear who we talk to today.
I can't wait
Yes, we have a special guest.
to talk about talking to talk. Someone check on me. I can't feel my legs. All right. Yeah, man. I dude, it's been one hell of a week. You know, kids are going back to school. At least my son is about to start school, so life has just been it's gone plaid. You know what I mean?
It has been a week. Yep.
That is a Spaceballs reference.
Stuff is happening. You know.
Yeah, but
All that good stuff.
But yeah, man. Listen, it's funny. My father actually went to go check up on you, in Machu Picchu, but you had just left.
I had just missed
the just left, and I was hoping you guys would cross paths.
Yeah, because I would have given.
I asked him. I asked him. I was like, "Did you see any guinea pigs?" And he's like, "No, they ate them all." So cool. You know,
if I'm not mistaken, did you know that potatoes originated from Peru?
That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because oddly starchy down there. But no, it was pretty cool. He was sending me pictures of that place, and I was like, "Dang, that's nuts!" Just like seeing it. Like, I mean, granted, we have photos of Machu Picchu and shit like that all over the internet, but like.
Yeah, we
know that place.
If you haven't seen it, just Google it. Something might pop up.
Kind of similar to those pictures, but
yeah,
I've always wanted to go there, and he was like, the altitude kicks your ass, and I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and even though I want to go there,
yeah, go there, man. And I'm not in the best of shape, but it's actually pretty intense, man. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I bet, man. I bet it's pretty crazy what men will do to get away from their wives. You know, they'll build a city up there in the mountains. So, we're gonna go make the boys' club. Where? Up there. Don't worry.
You don't want to go.
Yeah, it's actually just a cool fort that they built with their friends thousands of years ago. So. Yeah, man, that's all. That's
even back then, men were trying to get away from there.
Even back then, they're like, "God, I just want to save the guinea pigs, bro. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. I don't want to shave the llama today."
Oh man.
So all is well and good so far, but
yeah, no, it is. But interesting side note to today's episode. Something pretty strange happened in Tempe, Arizona today. I don't know if you heard about this.
No.
I was looking around online and I saw this that in Tempe, Arizona, they are investigating after a Wells Fargo employee was found deceased in her cubicle for days after she last scanned into the building. So this lady was found. Basically, she went to work, and I guess every time you scan in, they know when you scan in and out and whatever, every time you go out of the building. She never scanned out. Nobody realized she had kicked the bucket. Police responded to the office of Wells Fargo on August 20th after being notified by building security, identifying the worker as a woman in her 60s named Denise. A spokesperson for Wells Fargo said that her cubicle was in an underpopulated part of the building and that colleagues were informed of her death after her family was notified. The cause of death has not yet been determined. That just happened. It just today, so I thought that was
weird. That's odd, but I mean, makes sense. This culture over here in the U.S. is like work you to death, literally, and you know, we're so isolationist. That makes sense. You could do that. Hell, we don't even talk to our neighbors out here. Like, we really don't. Like, that's not the norm. If you're on good terms with your neighbors, you'll see them a couple times a year, maybe. But yeah, we're not all in each other's business. It's crazy. And that kind of, I feel like that carries over into those 9 to 5 grind kind of jobs, like the cubicle jobs. It's,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
Sally. She's in the cubicle. Haven't seen her for a couple days, but she's stinking. So,
Yeah.
like that's so sad, dude.
Yeah, I know that's crazy. I saw that and I was like, man, I gotta like just mention it because it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, so she just passed away in her cubicle, literally, like work, like you said, like worked to death. They worked her to death,
Yeah.
or was it something else?
She borrowed a stapler and never gave it back. Right? Is that what happens?
Right? Yeah, yeah. That's what happened.
And the
Yeah.
person's like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna get you. And one of these days, I'm gonna get you.
Oh,
I'll poison your coffee."
you, Denise. I'm gonna get you.
No, no, but that's sad. That's so fucking sad. Like
It is sad, but
it's. Oh God, I feel bad for that family
yeah,
because she's 60, she's working, she's elderly, probably empty nester, probably, you know what I mean. Her kids are probably busy. Like I haven't heard from mom in a couple days. She died at the office, and no one found her. Like
that's sad. Yeah, she was there
that's
for a few
so
days.
sad. That is
She was there.
so sad, dude.
Like, oh, man, I don't know. That's just, to me, that's weird because I could say like, oh, maybe she had a heart attack and just just kaput right there, or was it something else?
Maybe she didn't share one of those Facebook posts. Share this to 10 friends, or you'll have
Right?
bad
Yeah,
luck.
it told
And
her.
she did it, and she didn't share it. You know. So
Yeah, share this or die.
yeah, yeah. Who knows, man? That's terrifying. That's like my biggest nightmare. You know, that's
Yeah, I don't want.
so terrifying.
I definitely don't want to die at work, man.
Oh my
Forget that.
god. Yeah.
But
But
anyway, speaking about
yeah.
dying at work,
Hey, good segue.
yeah, it's almost.
This episode is brought to you by,
Here.
like, what is that thing called? Help and I can't get up. What is that thing called?
Oh man,
Life
what is
alert.
that thing called?
Life
Life alert. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
Jesus.
Help! I can't get up.
Oh God.
Well, but anyway, yeah. So today's episode is actually about not dying at work, missing 411.
Guys, what? Missing 411? Like,
Uh-huh. So, for those of you who haven't heard about this, missing 411 is what was the guy's name? John Paullides, Jack
Anthony.
Paullides.
Anthony
Close. I was there.
Paullides.
Anthony Paullides.
I have no
He wrote a
idea,
book.
guys. Paullides.
His last name is Paullides. He wrote a book. I think it was called Missing 411.
Yep.
Or something, Missing 411. Anyway, but there's different theories about people who go into the wilderness, hiking, camping, or just even, walking. And this is not like at night either. This is like in broad daylight. This stuff happens. That they'll be, oh, I'm going to go to the creek and go fishing for, a minute. And they're not that far away. But when people go see them, they're gone, or they go hiking in a group and somehow one of them lags behind. And when they turn around, they can't find him, or they can't find the person, or the person's like, where'd everybody go? I lost everybody. And for some reason, they can't find their way back to where they were or back to their campsite or anything. And there's so many of these cases that are out there.
Yeah.
And now, from my understanding, it's in the United States that this happens. So I'm wondering if it's in overseas as well where these things occur.
That's a good question. That's a good question. But I mean, I feel like, and this is, I don't know if this is going to come off as super ignorant, but I want to try to phrase it right. Okay. Our country here is vast. I feel like European countries aren't as vast as the US, and our parks and stuff. Maybe they're not on the same scale as our national parks, where you could literally go camp out at one of our national parks for probably a month and not see another human being. Like, if you don't want to be found, our national parks are the place to be. They're that huge, and I feel like across the pond, they actually have vacation time. So a lot of people do spend their times in parks. So I feel like maybe the missing 411 is probably just us. I mean, not saying that they don't have missing people across the pond. Like I'm not saying that,
Mhm.
but probably under these circumstances, you know.
Right. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, because I don't want to hit on too many. I don't want to, like, I guess, spoil some of our theories
Hmm.
before we actually get to these stories, because there's quite a few theories that go
Okay.
along with these stories. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Sure,
Because
man.
when you hear it, you'll kind of be like, oh, well, what about so
Okay.
yeah, let's just jump into it. Let's just
Let's
go
do it,
with it.
man.
So our first curious case is a rather strange vanishing of an 84-year-old technology professor by the name of Dr. Maurice Dammit. Dammitz. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher these names up, but whatever. In 1981. He is mostly known for his fire and brimstone religious rhetoric and his many writings of how he believed the literal Antichrist was going to appear in our lifetime. But he was soon to become even more well known for his odd disappearance. When he wasn't expounding upon how the devil was coming, Doctor the doctor liked to engage in his pastime of collecting rocks. And on this day, he was out with the in Pike National Forest with in Douglas County, Colorado, along with his friend David. They like to go hunting for topaz. They like to go, I guess, looking around the parks for topaz rocks. He's a rock collector.
Okay.
Everyone has their thing,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know. People have
Rocks. All right.
stamps. Yeah, people like to collect stamps, collect pins, collect whatever.
Yeah.
He collect rocks. I couldn't tell you what a topaz rock looked like if I was standing on it.
Uh, I'm pretty sure it's teal. It's like a teal color.
I'll take your word for
Don't Google it, guys.
it. Right. So the doctor was 84 years old at the time, with a range of health problems that caused him to rely on David to get him around. His bad knees making him unable to get very far on his own. In other words, he wasn't some spry young devil who could just run off at a moment's notice. So right there, that there's a
So
little bit of information. You
okay,
know,
so he's not wandering.
he's 84. He's gonna probably putz around a little bit.
Got it.
Look around. He's not gonna
Parkour off the mountains.
right.
Got
You
it.
know, they spent the day digging around for the rocks and had a sort of system where so David would drop off the doctor um, in a spot and then go off on his own nearby, right? So he drops him off. He would let the doctor in this area, and he would probably just kind of be there and look around. And David would go off in another area and would look around, and you know what? They weren't too far apart.
Okay.
They were far apart, but not like he didn't like go, I don't know, 100 yards or anything like that. I'm sure he was probably just maybe a couple yards away from him,
Wow. Okay.
right? Uh and yeah, so then afterwards he would just go pick up the doctor. Um and so anyway, they would just keep doing that, and they would move on to a different location as time went on, you know. So it was just kind of like the little system. You drop him off, he'd probably go look around over here, come back, pick him up, drop him off again, whatever. So on this day, everything was going smoothly, and they spent hours digging at different spots. They would typically not be too far away and would check on the alien doctor regularly every 15 or so minutes, right? So every like 15, 20 minutes, he would just go
Okay.
check on him, make sure everything was okay. At one spot, he was only about 100 yards away from the doctor and went to check on him. Just 10 minutes after he last saw the doctor, but this time the man was nowhere at all to be seen. David called out to the doctor and received no reply, and it was all very odd as his knees were so bad it would have been impossible for him to get very far so fast on his own. A sweep of the surroundings turned up nothing. Not, not only was Damitz gone, but all his tools were as well, and David thought he had maybe tried to hobble back to their car, but the doctor wasn't there either. So he was like thinking, Okay, I didn't hear him. I didn't see him. Guess he went back to the car somehow. So I
So
go back and
wait,
look.
all his shit's gone too? Like all of his stuff is gone, like his tools and stuff are gone?
Mm, I don't.
Because you're like, okay,
Probably if
okay,
his. If I'm assuming that. Okay, now if, I'm assuming that his all his tools and stuff are gone.
okay, okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, indeed, a complete search of the area turned up no trace of him, and not long after this, the authorities were notified, who, after a 5-day intensive search, could find no trace of damage in his missing tools. So, oh yeah, so all his tools were gone. Everything was gone. It's like he just picked up and just walked away when he could barely walk away.
Got it. Okay, so that's why he was going. Okay, see, so that's why the other guy was like, I bet he went back to the car because he didn't see his tools. He's like, okay, I bet he tried to make his way to the car. That makes sense.
Right. Where would you look?
Yeah, no, true, true. Because like if his tools were there, he didn't leave. He's in that area. But if his tools are gone, you're like, dude, dipped. He's
Right.
gone. Okay, all right.
So, and no blood or sign that he had been attacked by an animal or the victim of foul play. Damage was just there 1 minute and gone the next, and no one has seen him or any remains of him since. The case caught attention. No, so this is the guy's name. The case caught attention of David Paullides, author of the Missing 401 books, who was intrigued because the location of the vanishing was at a place called Devil's Head, which has long had a place in native folklore as a haunted place inhabited by evil spirits, and which also, strangely enough, had other strange disappearances that had happened in the vicinity.
Huh.
So compelling was the damage vanishing to Paulides that he created a sort of mini documentary on it, which he showed at the Colorado authorities, and which was instrumental to getting the mostly forgotten cold case reopened. Where did Dr. Damage go? And how could he get so far and so thoroughly avoid detection in such a short span of time when he could barely walk on his own? No one really knows, and Dr. Maurice Damage remains missing without a trace even today.
Yo, this is why. Like, you, I feel like you got to do your some research of the area you're going into, like, which is annoying, right? But if you're like an explorer, a rock hunter, topaz hunter,
Mm-hmm.
um, no, like if you're on like sacred Native American land and there are theories or rumors that it's like bad juju to be around there, don't go there. Just don't go there because those legends, those myths have been formulated and passed down for centuries. There's a reason they exist. There's a reason why they called it Devil's Head. There's like I just I take those things very seriously. I don't necessarily live by them, but at the same time, like if I'm going to a place called Devil's Head, well, guess what? I'm taking 5 other people. We're all gonna have satellite phones, and we're all gonna be tied together.
You
Like
know what though? That's the crazy thing. People have those things and still go missing.
that blows my mind, though. It's like it, because it as crazy as this is, it can't be unique, you know? Like this is nuts. Like so he just disappears just with all of his stuff absolutely gone whoosh.
No trace.
Now, the logical part of me would say that possibly dude was salty against the doctor and killed him somewhere else and then drove there, right? And then was like, oh, I'm going to call the whatever to go
Mm-hmm.
search for him. He's missing, but in reality,
So
he probably killed him before they got there.
So
Um,
okay, so let's say he did that. There would have to be proof of him being there, right?
that's true too.
So
Or
there
he
would
killed
have
him
to be
after.
proof. I mean, it could. I mean, yeah, I know. It's one of those like, could he have killed him? Could he have killed him? Like he did. Maybe they had some little beef going on, and he just killed him
But
out
but
there.
but you
Maybe,
see,
but
it
it's like
could have
where
been.
where are you gonna hide the body? I don't know. I feel
Well,
like.
Well,
Well,
it's
not necessarily.
easy.
You probably could have. You probably
I,
could have
I
just.
I feel like it's easy to dump a body out there in the wilderness, you know,
Mhm,
like because the search party only focuses on in one area, going one
mhm,
direction. Very
mhm,
rarely does a party search the whole area. They go one direction usually, and they send a couple scouts here and there to
mhm,
search the surrounding areas, but it's usually one direction. Let's go this way. He was heading this way, you know. But if
mhm.
dude killed him afterwards, there would still be proof there. Um, and you definitely have scavengers out there like bear and coyotes and maybe wolves. I don't know.
But they don't
Uh,
even like find like his shoe. They didn't find like clothes. They didn't find his tools. So like, where are you gonna put his tools? Like I
that's true too. I mean, you can't just like roll the body off a cliff and then all of his stuff and make it look,
right.
like. But then
Well, it's
again,
hard to say that too because you're out in the wilderness. Wilderness. There's nobody out there. There's no cameras. There's nothing like that. You could. I mean, if you really think about it, like you can put somebody. You can hide somebody out there, but I feel like eventually somebody's gonna
yeah,
come across them. You know.
eventually, I feel like
Right.
eventually, but you know what though? Then it takes a person that's been planning this for a very long time
Hmm.
to actually do this. Like then it takes a criminal or sociopath, psychopath mastermind to come up with this plan. Now this is apparently the dude's friend that they've been doing this for a minute for him to
Hmm.
be even put up there with him like, hey, this is something he enjoys. We go hunting for rocks. It's probably an escape for him, and he's doing it because they're friends.
Right.
Going with them and checking on them. So it's
Hmm.
or he could have harbored some resentment, like I could be watching the game, I could be drinking at my house, and I'm here looking for Topaz. Like, what does Topaz even look like? I'm done with this.
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
that's crazy how like nothing turned up. Nothing turned up.
Nothing.
No trace. That's like top fear. But I don't know. I don't know. There's so many different things, especially when it's a missing persons case. Like
Hmm.
everything's on the table. Everything has to be on the table until you rule it out.
Right. Everybody's a suspect.
Yep.
Somebody knows something to an extent, you know,
Hmm.
but where did he go?
Yeah.
Where did he?
Yeah.
And it's weird. So some people think aliens are involved in these things. Um, you know, some creature that's just out there,
Okay.
a
Like a
Sasquatch
cryptid.
type,
Okay.
Sasquatch, Bigfoot type thing, maybe something around those
Yeah.
lines.
It like okay. If it was a creature, it would have had to have been big. It would have had to have made no noise, and he would have had to make no noise. And if it's a creature, why I would assume since he's not really in prime health, right? He would have put his gear down. He would have put his gear down somewhere while he was looking for Topaz, right? So that means a creature would have had to get him and get the gear too, which means the creature, if it was a creature, if we're going down that branch, would have to have some sort of intelligence and knowing what they were doing. It wouldn't have been just like, that's prey, let me take him out and drag him
Hmm.
away to wherever to finish him off. It's like,
Right. Well, yeah. No, if it was a creature, yeah, because the creature's not going to be worried about the hammer and the little chisels and stuff like
no,
that. He's going to just grab the guy.
yeah,
Also, the guy's not going to put up a fight. He's 84 years old and
yeah,
he's crippled just about.
yep, yep. So that's odd. That's odd, man. But yeah, I don't know. I would be on the edge. I'd be on edge if I was in a place where it's like rumored to be haunted. Always.
Well, I mean, geez, what place doesn't have some type of thing?
Well, your
You know what I mean?
chances greatly increase if you're on like Indian property.
Yeah,
You know,
that's the
like
thing.
yeah, times were not good for them back when we were all manifesting their destiny. Um, and yeah, so that was a lot of stuff came out of that. So I mean, who knows? Who knows, man? I feel like the one people that are like tapped into that kind of stuff, those lore, the spirits, the creatures, are the Native Americans because they've lived with them for so long.
Oh,
They've
they
developed
have
these
a deep
myths.
connection with them.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes they won't even talk about it because just the
Yeah,
names of stuff brings it around.
they have a deep
So
connection with them, and they respect them so much.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure,
So
man.
all right. So our next one, story number 2. A similar missing 411 case with a rather more sinister ending is one that happened decades before and is perhaps not as well known. In the summer of 1958, a 10-year-old boy, uh, Bobby Bizup, Bizup,
Okay.
Bizup, Bobby, was attending a Catholic camping retreat called Camp St. Malo at the Rocky Mountain National Park along with a group of other youths. On August 15th, the introverted and partially deaf Bobby went down to a place called Cabin Creek in order to do some fishing. And at the time, there would have been nothing unusual about it, as there were camp counselors nearby, and the creek was a popular place for the boys to fish. When it was time to head back to join the others for dinner, a counselor got the boy to head back with him, and the two began their walk towards the nearby camp. According to the counselor who was with Bobby at the time, the boy was right on his heels, yet he glanced over his shoulder to find the boy gone, even though he had been following close behind him just moments before. And that is one of like that's like one of the things that always seems to happen. It doesn't matter if it's a little boy, an old man, somebody in their 20s or 40s. It always seems like there's a pair of them, there's a group of them. One is always seemed to be like lagging behind, and you look back, you're like, hey, come on, let's go. And then next thing you look back again, and he's gone.
Gone.
Where'd he go? Gone,
Interesting.
gone. Like you don't hear them like wander off, fall down. They don't yell for help, nothing. Where did they go? Right?
Dude, yeah. It's almost like they just got swallowed up by something. Like a fucking portal. That's
So
crazy.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
and okay, so that's one of the things. That's another thing that people talk about. Like, are these people walking and the portal opens up and they like walk into it,
Oh, like
or they
that's a
get
theory?
scared? And they
Like,
that is 100% a theory. Yes, there are portals in
oh,
these places that somehow open up at certain times to these people, to these certain people for whatever reason. Yes, that is an absolute theory. Portals, portals. Is it alien abduction? Is it a Sasquatch? Is it some kind of creature? Is it feral people that are living there that hunt people down? I mean, I know they've said there's feral people like on the Appalachian Trail, on these other
yeah,
well-known trails and stuff like that are out there. Um, I don't know why people go camping on these places. Screw that. I
yeah.
wouldn't want to. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy to me.
So
So
so he was being guided by a camp counselor, right? He was being guided like, hey, Bisbee, what's his name? Bizzo, like, come
Bobby,
with me, Bobby, come with me. And he's like right over his shoulder, you know.
yeah. So
And
so okay, as an adult, if I'm watching a child, I want them in front of me,
always,
in my line of sight,
yep.
not behind me. I
That's
never
just
have a child in my back.
hiking etiquette 101.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just
I no matter where I'm at. If I am with my niece and nephew, whatever, I have them in front of me. I make sure they're in front of me. I can see them. I never want them lagging behind me
yeah.
because
You can't see behind you.
not just yeah. I literally don't have eyes in the back of my.
Yep.
Not gonna happen. So, uh, so yes, so Bobby was So the counselor was in front, Bobby was behind him. Counselor's like, "Come on, man, let's go," and turns back around. Little Bobby's gone. Startled counselor was sure that he was just hiding and playing the game. So he looked around the area and called out to the boy, "Hey, Bobby, Bobby, where you at?" But the boy, but there was no sign of him when other counselors were called and no one could find him. Authorities were notified and so began a 9-day long intensive search involving nearly 400 police officers,
Wow.
volunteers, and airmen from Denver's Lower Air Force Base, utilizing aircraft and tracker dogs, but absolutely no trace of Bobby was found. It was quite baffling because he had been right behind the counselor, and it seemed impossible he could have gotten so far so fast on his own. Some odd clues came up out at the time, including a report that a vacationing doctor had seen Bobby a full 15 miles away in a hardware store at East Park. But at the time of the incident, this was seen as not a very reliable lead because no one could have figured out how the boy could have possibly made it so far through the wilderness on his own in that amount of time. It was just considered impossible. So a guy saw little Bobby at a hardware store,
Supposedly.
supposedly.
Okay.
And when this person said that and told the authorities, they're like, it's impossible. There's no way he could be at the hardware store at this time because he was gone. He was supposed to be with the counselor. So where'd he go?
Did they?
Well, no, because remember, this is a long time ago. So they were like, no, that's bullshit. We don't believe you. So we're just going to not even pay attention to it.
Yeah. But you know, I'm sure they triple quadruple check the counselor. They had to have.
Well, look, I'm not gonna say that the counselor's at fault per se, because remember, this is a long time ago, right? This wasn't 2010.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago. So back then, anybody could have been a counselor.
Yeah. No. No. That's what I'm saying. Like,
We don't know that part of the story is as far as they know, the counselor checked out.
what's okay. So as far as everyone knows, the counselor's checked out.
Right,
They're
he's good.
he's not a suspect. Um. See, that's the thing. That's the thing that drives me crazy with these stories. Is it's always from one person's point of view. Like, how do you know he's missing? Well, because I'm telling you he was right behind me. It could have been a completely different story, but I'm going to tell you he was right there. You
Right.
know, like that's the hardest part, and that's what throws shade at a lot of these type of stories. It's very tough. But okay, let's say we go with are you done with the story? Are we done? Is that it? He
No,
just
no, no. I
disappeared?
think there was a little bit
Oh,
more. I think there was a
okay.
little bit more. Yeah, it was a little bit more. But anyway, go ahead. Go finish what you were going to say.
No, I'm just saying like it's tough when these missing person cases don't get corroborated by multiple like witnesses.
So it's hard too because remember, so I will like okay, like the first story. It's two guys out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Who else are they going to corroborate stories? I mean,
Yeah.
if they were married, if they had girlfriends, then if they go ask the girlfriends, hey, did he tell you where he was going? Yeah, he was going to go with such and such, and they were going to go camping and whatever,
Yeah.
and they were going to be back at the end of the day. That's all they fucking know.
Yeah.
Counselor at this camp, there could have been other counselors with them, but he was, Bob. He said Bob was following behind him. He looks back, he's gone. It's like, where'd he go? And at that point, it's like, okay, because he doesn't have a car. The counselor doesn't have a car. He doesn't have a chance to throw
Oh,
little Bobby into a car to take him somewhere. They're walking in the world. They're walking in the forest.
what about the
You know what I
river?
mean? Well, I mean, I guess I'm pretty sure they searched the river or along the river bank, where he was fishing. They had to have. I mean, that's common sense,
Yeah.
Oh, did he fall? But true, because he could have been like, well, he's following me. He's like, are you sure? Let's
Yeah.
check, double check, make sure that he didn't go down the river.
Yeah. Like or the counselor just like F this kid.
Right.
river,
Right.
you know. But that's okay. Let's just assume the counselor checks out for this, right? We have to assume that the counselor checks out,
100%.
or else this would be a murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So okay,
Kind of is.
so oh oh shit,
Kind of.
okay,
It kind of is.
all right,
Because he hasn't come back.
okay, all right, all right. So what else, man, from this Bobby? Did they
Oh,
did they find anything?
so tragically, this case would eventually be solved, but without leaving behind more mysteries of its own. In June of 1959. So yeah, I mean, dude, it's in the 50s.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
serial killer, uh,
Yeah, they were
a
rampant
child,
then.
a guy that was looking, at kids could definitely been in, been a counselor. But we're gonna say that the counselor was not at fault. So nearly 1 year after going missing, some torn clothing, a broken hearing aid, and a few bone fragments were found in a remote area. This is the crazy part. Well, this is interesting. 2,500 feet up Mount Meeker in the middle of nowhere and about 3 miles from where Bobby had gone missing. Sadly, the bones were found to be those of the missing boy, but it was rather odd since the remains were found in the middle of an area that had extensively and thoroughly been searched. There was also the fact that the area was not easily reached and no one could figure out how the missing boy could have possibly gotten there or even why he would have wanted to head up the mountain to begin with, considering most people who are lost instinctively head towards lower ground. Also, besides those few bone fragments, no other physical trace of Bobby had been found, leading one to wonder where the rest of his body went. What happened to Bobby? It remains a mystery till this day. So, like, they couldn't find him. And a year
Okay.
later, and again, and I'm going to say this multiple times. It's another thing that's constant is they look through an area, they go looking all over the place and nothing. A year later, they find the boy in an area where they had already looked extensively, thoroughly. They had looked in that area, and then they find his body, or they find, you know,
I,
signs
well,
of him that he was there.
I
That's
I
very odd.
I feel like that. Well, there's a lot of different things. Okay, let's assume counselor is all clear, right? Let's just assume counselor's all clear.
Mhm.
Um, I wonder what the mountain lion population is of that area, because that they could they like let's say a kid with a hearing problem, right, could be crept up on, right, and that mountain lions are not noisy and they tend to hide their prey and then take it up. um I'm just
Right. No,
uh,
no, no. And I mean, I'm totally with you. Okay. Let's just devil's advocate type shit. Let's just say you're the counselor, right? You're walking. The kid's behind you, a 10-year-old boy who has a hearing aid. Even with a hearing aid, right? Um, he doesn't hear the lion come up because nobody's. I mean, these cats are predators.
yeah,
They know how to stalk their prey.
yeah,
But they grab a boy, a little boy, or they grab anybody. You're gonna make some kind of noise. There's gonna be some kind of scuffle.
that's true
It's
too.
not. It's not like the boy. It's not like he was yards behind him. You know what I mean? Where he would be like, "Oh, what was that?" And whatever. Come on, Bobby, and he's gonna keep going. I mean, he had to been somewhat close,
Yeah,
where he would have heard some scuffle, some noise,
yeah, at least the body being drug, you know.
something, something, and Bobby
Because
would have
yeah,
made some noise as in pain if that was the case.
I
You
but
know.
I'll do this. I'll just say this, that mountain lion attacks, they'll always go for the neck of something.
Hmm.
So
Well, predators in general usually will go for the neck because that they know that that's the
that's a
way to kill you.
kill.
They suffocate you. Yeah.
Yeah. and a mountain lion versus a boy.
10-year-old
Yeah,
boy.
that's not any competition for an apex predator. But okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's say it isn't, because there's a lot of ifs. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
then guess what? Guess what gets sniffed out by dogs? Mountain lions. You
Mm-hmm.
know what's all over the trail? Paw prints. You
Mountain
know,
lions are gonna be over there. They're gonna find him,
they're
or they're
like,
gonna at least
oh
track him down somewhat, right?
yeah, yeah. That's an obvious thing.
And also, remember, he was found, or his remains were found 2,500 feet up a mountain that a 10-year-old boy is going to climb.
No,
Like, what would be the point? Was he
no,
running from something?
he was dead when he got to the mountain. There's just I feel like something killed him on impact. Whatever it was, whatever grabbed him, killed him instantly. You know,
Right.
because let's say he went up to the mountain, he was up on the mountain, right? That far, he would have tried to climb down eventually.
Well,
Or
see, okay, so that was my thing. Like, what if he was, maybe something took him up the mountain, but what if he was heading that way as to try to get away from something? He saw something and tried to get away from it.
but climbing a mountain like that is not without making a noise is
No, well, I mean the noise part. I mean, okay, so put it this way. So he's behind the council, right?
mhm,
Something, maybe he saw something that startled him that he went and hid. Okay, and he kind of just darted out into the woods.
yeah,
And whatever it was stalked him, followed him, and maybe he was trying to get away and didn't go up the mountain, but headed towards the mountain, and maybe whatever it was grabbed him and took him up the mountain, or did like the mountain lions do, hit him, and then later on left
yeah.
him there after everybody was done looking for him.
I just don't.
It's just weird. I mean, what do you say happened?
What the part that always throws me off is like dogs. What the fuck is going on? Like dogs have the
Well,
best smell out
okay,
of anyone out there.
no, but here's another one. Dogs, what I've heard is, with a lot of these cases, dogs don't smell anything. They don't find anything. Like, they have the scent of the person, and they're
It's
like,
gone.
okay, he was right here, and that's it. Like, we can't smell anything. They don't find any trace of the person or anything else in the area, so they can't track them down.
I wonder. I wonder if it's like standard operating procedure to like, because I know someone that watches this channel is taking a tracking course,
Oh,
right?
really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would wonder if, let's say, the dog is being basically given the assignment of tracking this boy. They give
Mm-hmm.
the dog this boy's scent, nothing else, right? So he's zeroing in on this scent
Mm-hmm.
and blocking other scents out, right? I wonder what would happen if they got the dog or another dog that's trained on a different kind of scent out there to see, maybe, maybe, because I'm like, your one job is to find the boy. Well, what if there's another scent that's out there that's so overwhelming that it masks the boy's scent, but that's not part of the dog's job. Is find or
Mm-hmm.
track the other scent, right? And I would wonder if you get another dog out there that's looking for a different kind of scent, maybe like a predator
Mm-hmm.
scent, like whatever's in season, whatever's known to lurk in the mountains. See if those two scents get to one area, and then one dog picks up another scent and follows that. I would be interesting, because yeah, something had to have carried him out there or up there or wherever, because the only way to lose that scent in my mind is something had to scoop him up and get him out of there, right? Like either
100%. Yep.
bird, like, you know what I mean? Let's just theory, like big ass fucking bird, right? There's no way the
like
scent
like
trail.
like
There's
the what do
no
you call them
the Thunderbirds. Fuck it, right?
yeah
But if something were to scoop him up and then drop him on the mountain, right? That's the only way his scent would jump. Like there's no trace of him here, and then he's
mhm.
up there. Like how? How? You know what I mean?
That, but
Like
see that's exactly the thing. Like, how the hell did he go from from here all the way up there in a short amount? Well, it's been a year, but still in a short amount of time because you're out in the wilderness. You can only survive for so long. As an
like
adult, you can only survive for so long. A 10-year-old isn't going to
like
survive that long.
okay. The only and then you're looking at let's say because remember all this hinges on if the counselor checks out. All of this hinges on if the counselor checks out. So we're assuming the counselor checks out for this. That's where we are drawing our opinions is if the counselor checks out, then
Right,
what happens? You know,
right.
um, then you're looking at things like weird shit like portals or maybe an aerial assault of some
Well,
kind.
again, that's why I'm saying like why people were saying um, portals were definitely a topic. UFOs, um, how people are getting taken up. Some people come back. Some people come back,
Uh,
but a lot of them don't. Um, Creatures, Bigfoot or feral creatures or some
you
type
know,
of being.
because
Um,
if it's a predator that's known, right, it would leave a
mhm,
mark. It would have left a track or something. It would have left something. Especially when people are just so hyper aware of a missing child that I don't
mhm.
think you'd overlook a bear print or a paw print. And,
Well,
and,
bear
and
print would definitely stand out.
yeah,
That's the
um,
thing. That's the thing. It's like if a tracker, I would assume because I'm not a tracker, but I would assume that if I'm searching for somebody, I think to see any kind of strange tracks, strange footprints, strange anything out of the ordinary, I would probably throw a red flag up right away.
what
Like,
about
oh, why was there a bear?
what about like no, never mind. That's stupid. That's stupid. I'm just thinking like you
What, a
know
snake?
yeah, like what if the kid was like behind the counter, heard something,
An-
got close to the
Anaconda?
bushes, and like a rattlesnake or something that was out there. I'm assuming rattlesnakes would bite him, but then he would be crying in pain and then die. Like it'd be different. But
Well, first of all, you would hear him
yeah,
crying. Second of all, you would definitely find him.
and you would hear
There's
a
no way.
rattlesnake.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
not him because he was hard of hearing, but like, um,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, shit, dude. It This is another thing I've I've been noticing, because I've fallen down a couple of these rabbit holes on my own
Hmm.
like in lockdown. This is how I
Hmm.
dove down these things. I want to know if there's a correlation of kids or elderly. How many of these missing 411s has the person been sick or ill or disabled or have a
Okay,
disability?
so I don't know the exact numbers, but okay. Well, let me hit this last one. Let's
Okay.
hit this last one, and then we can talk about that. Don't like put a big bookmark in that one.
Okay, got
Let's
it,
talk
got it, got
back to
it.
that one. Because that is an interesting thing that you bring that up. Because I was listening to uh, a conversation about like 401 and all this other stuff, and they brought something like that up. Let's try to remember it. Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, let's get to this one real quick. So more recently is the 2015 vanishing of 2-year-old Dior Kuntz Jr., who in July of that year was on a camping trip with his father, Dior Sr., his father's girlfriend, her grandfather, and their friend Isaac Rainwand in the same region as where little Bobby had vanished, out on the edge of a Rocky Mountain National Park. At one point, Dior's Jr.'s father and girlfriend left the boy at the campsite with the grandfather for a short time, and when they returned, he was gone. The grandfather told them that he had simply been there 1 second and gone the next, and a search of the area turned up no sign of him, nor did an extensive official search of the area. It was not thought that he had been kidnapped because there was only one narrow dirt road leading into the campground, and it seems like an animal attack would have been noticed by the grandfather and left behind some sort of evidence. Okay, so it's saying like if he had been attacked by an animal or kidnapped, they would have seen it. They would have
Got
noticed
it.
something, right?
Okay.
It is rather strange because he was only 2 years old and it is not thought he could have gotten very far through the rough terrain on his own. Yet Dior Jr. has never been found.
What?
Perhaps Perhaps even weirder than any of these cases are those in which the person has vanished only to reappear later unable to explain what has happened. An earlier case of this is that of 2-year-old Keith Parkins, also a missing 401 fame, who in 1952 was visiting Ritter, Oregon to stay at his grandfather's rural remote ranch. The area was surrounded by forests, but Keith was allowed to play out in the yard. And on this day, um, there he was, his grandfather constantly checking up on him. At one point, the grandfather looked outside, expecting to see the boy playing as he had been just minutes before, but he was nowhere to be seen. Like in any other case we have looked at, and a massive search was launched, made all the more urgent because there was frigid bad weather set to hit that evening, which it was thought such a young boy would not be able to survive. When nightfall came, little Keith had still not been found, and it was considered puzzling that he could have gotten so far so quickly without a trace. The search went on all night, and when morning came, they finally located Perkins alive, laying face down on a frozen pond around 8 miles through rough wilderness from where he had gone missing. Bizarrely, he had taken his jacket off despite the intense cold, and his clothes were ripped. Although there were no signs of physical injury, it was complete mystery as to what had happened to his clothes, why the jacket had been removed, or even how he even had managed to survive at all. And even odder still was that considering his young age and the intimidating terrain, it was estimated that it would have taken him nearly 20 hours to cover that distance. How could this be? Was he abducted? And if so, why? A survival expert named Les Stroud deemed it impossible for a 2-year-old to have covered that distance in the time that had passed in that weather in the dead of night, making it all stranger still. It would help Keith. It would help if Keith had been able to explain what had happened, but he was either unwilling or unable to elaborate, and his strange disappearance and reappearance remains an enigma.
Okay,
So,
so
so that was like two in one. So little Dior, first of all, okay. I remember hearing this story too. Little Dior, he had vanished. Uh a little backstory on this one. The grandfather had brought his friend along. The friend was kind of sketchy.
okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, was said to have uh maybe had an interest in little kids.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, what? It's so fucking terrible. But like, I- man, people,
So I think that one,
foul play.
I want to say foul play, but again, they looked into the grandfather, they looked into this friend, even though he was assumed to have been, um,
Going that way, like
yeah,
being
yeah,
yeah.
they were kind of cleared. They
Well,
were
because
cleared
they
of,
would have seen some sort of struggle, some sort of evidence, some sort of something.
right, right. There would have been something, right, and I think at one time they were trying to say that he was attacked by a wild animal. So this is the strange thing. So again, he somehow vanished. He got away. He wasn't kidnapped. Supposedly was no foul play. They found the boy's clothes, and they said, "Oh no, we know what happened. He was attacked by a wild animal. That's it. The father was very adamant, saying there's no way that it was a wild animal because how is a wild animal going to take a little boy's clothes off? Right?
Yep.
He's going. You're gonna see his shirt. It's gonna have. You're gonna see puncture marks where the animal's biting him. Um, you're going to see it's. You're going to see the claw marks because I mean, Jesus Christ, mountain lions, bears. They're. I mean, bears. What are they? The claws are like what? Five
Yeah.
inches,
Yeah.
8 inches long, or whatever. Something crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's going to rip your clothes apart. You're going to notice it. They said, well, you can see the boy's shirt. It's all ripped up. Yes, it's ripped up, and it was by animals, but not by an attack. Squirrels, owls, birds, whatever, what other little animals that go by and there's just pecking at it. And that's what it was. It was just a bunch of pecks. You know, they're taking it for like their nest.
Yeah. Not
Whatever.
like significant damage.
No, but I mean, there was a bunch of holes in it and stuff like that. So they were.
I wonder if the shirt was bloody or was it like just a shirt?
No bloody. No, it wasn't bloody. That was another thing. There was no blood on it. There was no blood on the pants. There was no blood. The father has the clothes because they found the clothes. They found the clothes.
So that should rule out animal attack because usually if you see
it was right. Or even blood, right? They were because he was even like, there's no blood on it. I have the shirt. They showed the shirt. There's no blood. So another interesting fact was that they found his shoes. Again, they looked in the area. They didn't find him. They looked again in this area. There's his shoes, and not just that his shoes were there, but they're like clean. It's like he's been out here for how long? And now we see his shoes and they're clean. Like they weren't outside. They weren't muddy. You say he was attacked by an animal and dragged away. There's no drag marks on his shoes.
There's
dead body, right? You're going to be, your feet are the last thing dragging, whether it's on your heels or on your toes.
They're going to be dirty.
You're going to have scuff marks on your shoes somewhere of you being dragged from one place to another. None. Absolutely none. Nothing.
That's so it's baffling, man. That's baffling. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I would be mortified if I was like the father, like that would send me talk about it. Like I could never recover from that.
No,
when there's no answer at all. Like I would be in the woods 24/7. That would be my new home. I would just roam looking.
So again, it's like, the father's like, it's not an animal attack. It was not an animal attack, but that's what the coroner said happened. The boy died because an animal got to him. But again, it's weird because the grandfather brought his friend along. The friend's sketchy. He's not 100. So then it was like, well, what's up with him? They checked him out. He more or less checked out okay.
Yeah. No, there's no. That's shit.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But then here's my question. Was that grandfather was related to dude's girlfriend, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
The dude.
Right.
Yeah. No, I have a strict, like, if I'm going to leave my son with you, you're blood. Like, that's, if we're out there in the wilderness and you're responsible for my child's life, then just know that we're blood related. Like, I don't give anyone 100% trust that isn't blood,
right,
or immediate fucking family. Like, I'm not trusting my girlfriend's father to watch my son. He has no skin in that game. So, you know what I mean? I'm not doing that. So it's just, I feel like, he was gone 1 second. He was there and gone another second. Man, that grandfather could have been sleeping. He could have been sleeping in wherever, and that should happen. Like, because he's not a babysitter. Like I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. But then the other one you mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
I do know about because I watched the Les Stroud
Oh, did you? Yeah.
video.
Les Stroud is cool, man.
Yeah, man. Um, yeah, what the hell? That's the weirdest freaking thing. Like that's weird. That's weird. And it ended happy. Very weird, but it has a happy ending, which is not the case usually. Um, with the kid being found, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many freaking questions about that stuff, man. Like, how did the kid travel that far under those circumstances, be fine with no jacket? Like,
Right.
what what's going on? So, uh, it's
Right. Well,
just
that was the second part of of my story.
mhm.
Yeah. So when nightfall came, little Keith still had not been found. It was considered puzzling that he could have gotten so far so quick without trace. Search went on night. Morning came. They finally located Parkins alive, laying face down on a frozen pond around 8 miles.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So they find him 8 miles out in a
8
pond.
miles in a
Hmm.
pond. Like,
Yeah, but laying face down, that's weird.
yeah, that means he was asleep. He was he went night
But
night.
would you drown too? Like if you're lit face down in a pond?
Was it a frozen lake
I'm
or was it like a marsh?
I'm
What was it?
thinking it's like probably frozen marshy type.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, frozen pond. It was a frozen pond.
yeah,
Still, like I don't
yeah.
know.
No, no, that makes no
Uh,
sense. He was knocked out
so
cold then.
yeah, he was out. He was out. So bizarrely, he had taken off his jacket despite the intense cold, and his clothes were ripped, although there were no signs of physical injury. It was a complete mystery as to what had happened to his clothes, why the jacket had been removed, or even how he had managed to survive at all. And even odder still was the considering his young age and the intimidating terrain. It was estimated it had taken him nearly 20 hours to cover that distance, right? But it
Yeah,
was like, how could he?
how
And was
could
he
he have?
abducted? Right. Yeah, and Les Stroud was obviously
I
was saying
I want to know.
it's possible.
I want to know if they still have that jacket available, um, to look at because what would be interesting to see if the a certain side of the jacket is ripped more than the other
Mm, hmm.
because a kid that let's say for instance something picked him up. Let's just guys go with us on this. Let's say something picked him up and ran with him, and you're running through brush and whatever, and let's say you're holding the kid. However, you're holding the kid, one side of the kid's body is going to be protected, more protected than the outside facing, I
Hmm.
guess. So like if let's say I'm holding my son running through the forest, right, like this side of his body is not going to have any kind of scratches or any sort of damage. This side of his body, the wood facing side of his body, is going to have the scratches or the ripped jackets or the ripped whatevers, you know. And I would wonder if his clothes showed that sort of pattern, like where the damage was oddly on one sleeve or one side opposed to another side. Because
Hmm. Hmm.
that's what I would think is something's not dragging him through, right? Because
Right,
he's
and you can't ask him because he doesn't remember anything.
well, if anything dragged the kid, right? They would probably be bruising, depending on something dragging him. There'd be bruising or blood, and if he was unharmed, right, then you would have to assume that something scooped him up and either dropped him or drug him,
Hmm.
right? It's just so weird. There's so many questions about this shit, you know. I I,
A
I
lot.
feel I feel like there's never going to be any kind of answers at all for this kind of stuff. It's just like anomalies. Like,
Well, okay, so this is one is like I've heard that when people do get I don't want to say abducted, but if maybe they are getting abducted, maybe they're going through a time
mhm.
portal, some kind of wormhole, whatever. Um, very few do come back. More, I think it's more end up, not making it.
Mm-hmm.
and some do come back, and the ones that do come back never remember what happened.
Yeah.
They don't. They, I think they even like lose time.
Yeah. Or maybe they like, what is it called? It's like so terrifying that your mind just absolutely
Shuts
dumps,
off.
like dumps it, dumps the
Yeah.
memory, dumps the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like worse than shock. It's like you're not even flashing back on that because your mind is like, fuck this,
It just shuts
trash.
off and makes you forget it. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and what I've heard too is this weird thing about shoes. Like shoes are always either found with like like clean or together in these
Mm-hmm.
odd ones. It's like, what happened to the shoes, or why are the shoes clean? Why are they together? Very
Mm-hmm.
rarely are 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 like is like one shoe found. Like it's always, or what is it? If one shoe is found, it's always with a foot inside. Two shoes are found,
Oh wow,
it's
really?
usually never scuffed, usually together, and socks inside or something like that. Like
Hmm.
the shoes are paired up. Like not like
Really?
here's a shoe 10 miles on the road or up the mountain. There's another shoe. It's always the shoes are found together, which
Hmm.
which
Interesting.
always begs you like, why are these guys taking their shoes off in the middle of the woods? You
Well,
know?
that's another thing. It's like, why are they taking their clothes off in the middle of the woods?
Yeah. So,
Like,
you know,
it's 20 degrees outside. And you're taking your jacket off. You're taking your shoes and socks, but everything's still in pretty good shape.
yeah, there's something. I feel like there's something weird that has been going on for ages
Mm-hmm.
before modern times. I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like you didn't hear about it because news didn't travel. News didn't travel back then. But I feel
Well,
like this
not like it
shit's been
does
going
now.
on. Yeah, I feel like this shit's been going on for eons out there.
Oh yeah,
It's just
yeah.
more relevant or more noticeable nowadays when people don't post on social media for a while, or
Right.
you take a selfie before you hike, and then that's the last post, and that's the last time anyone ever saw them.
Or
That's
even
usually
like those that take videos while they're hiking. You
yeah,
know.
yep. Um, it I feel like if you find the answer for one, that doesn't mean you found the answer for all. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's the terrifying thing of it. Like if let's say this thing was or this person was carried away by a mountain lion. There's no mountain lions in the other place, you know? Like what's going on? Like it's very odd how someone can basically vanish or teleport seemingly for no reason at all. That scares me as like a dad on a dad level because I love to hike. I love to be out there in the woods with my son, and I like you. I follow the very strict rules of the woods, right? Keep them in front of me and
Mm-hmm.
always come
Mm-hmm.
prepared for everything. Like in my
Mm-hmm.
backpack, I have I have rope, knives, matches, lighters, Ziploc bags, change of clothes, like everything. Like I don't just go for a hike. I'm like, we're gonna try to survive. You know, like weird shit happens in the woods. You always have to prepare for the not like you always have to prepare for the unexpected, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel
Definitely.
like, and I feel like those people, if you prepare to like survive a hike, those people are never the ones that go missing. It's usually the people that go in there just because it's another day or I want to go hunting again, go to my normal spot and just like their guard is down, right? They're not apprehensive of where they are or whatever and they're usually ones that's it. They're like I'm just going to go for a quick hike. I'm going to go take a picture on this rock and that's it. That's the
Right.
last, they're just gone,
Right.
you know.
But a
Um
lot of times, even those people that have been experienced
experience.
hikers, still just gone,
Yeah, the ones
gone.
that the stories that shock me are the hunters. Like think about that. Like, if you're ready to like hunt, you're already being quiet, you're moving stealthy, you're already hyper aware of things that are going on around you. Your situational awareness is very high. And for those people to go missing with weapons, with the means to defend themselves and the know-how usually to defend themselves. Some of these guys that go missing could be like prior service, prior like vets. It's like nothing's scaring them, nothing's not getting the jump on them, but yet when they disappear, it's like, yo, that's weird, but yeah,
no, it is. It is very weird when they do that. But yeah, there's a lot of those stories where people that are experienced hunters, hikers, whatever, and they just disappear.
Yeah, it's
for whatever reason, their clothes end up. Their clothes are there's stories where people end up their clothes folded nice and neat. It's
I feel like
they've been
those
gone
guys,
for like a month, and how is their clothes like folded nice and neat, not dirty?
Yeah,
that weird stuff.
I feel like that right there is feral people. That right there is feral people. I feel like those kind of attacks where you find the shit like folded, right, neatly. It's either feral people or some sort of like, maybe, my thing is, it could be anything, bro. They could be walking on pockets of poisonous gas, and it drives them to a psychotic episode, or some sort of reality altering thing. You never know. You never fucking know. But it's terrifying out there. But at the same time, this shit happens. These people go missing in some of the most beautiful places. It's weird.
Well, it's terrifying out there. That's why you don't go out there. Don't go out there. Stay home and listen to us, and we can tell you about it. That way you don't have to worry about
it. Yep. Always. But no, man, it's all. We're not going to answer anything on this episode. Like, only questions.
No, we're still. But anyway, hey, thanks again, everybody, joining us on this episode. And please, if you wouldn't mind, help support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and all the other good stuff. Subscribe. Tell your people to subscribe. Tell them to like it. Tell them to share.
Yep.
Help us out.
Thanks. Thanks again for having me, man.
Spread the word.
Yep.
Daniel, thank you for stopping by and joining us. And until next time, everybody, peace.
Later, guys.
In a world of shadows and hidden truths, we search for answers, we chase the clues. A podcast of enigma.